Hi, my name is Ben Peggs, and I've just turned 30 years old. I live in London. I'm with my girlfriend in Wimbledon, and I've been fencing now since I was about 10 years old. So yeah, 20 years in the game, and about 15 years doing it full time. We have our national centre in Hendon at Leon Paul, where I train every day. And I also work at a club called Fences Club London, where we're kind of bringing through youth development and trying to hopefully make GB's next hopefuls. So yeah, I love fencing. It's taken me all over the world. It's given me a lot of personal satisfaction, lots of motivation in life, and yeah, been able to set goals and really kind of live my life through my passion. So I'm very, very grateful to find fencing. I've been a TAP mentor now for the year, and it's been brilliant. I've really enjoyed it working with my mentee. I was skeptical at first because I was worried about how I'd be able to kind of give as much as I could to the True Athlete project. But it's been something that has been very manageable, which for me is important, because if you're going to do something, I'd like to do it right. And I felt that I could manage this alongside my other commitments and being busy. But also what's been really lovely about it is I feel that I've learned as much about myself as I think as I have the person that I'm mentoring. So I've really enjoyed the whole process and kind of having not only the conversation with the mentee, but having the mirror kind of reversed a little bit, and also making me ask the questions of myself. And hopefully the mentee has learned stuff about me as well. We've been able to share experiences and grow together. And the exercises that we've been doing have challenged me as well, which is great. And I feel that it's been a joint journey. And I really hope that my mentee has enjoyed it and got as much out of the year as I have. So a couple of the other things that I found really useful as part of the True Athlete project, and something that kind of rang true for me when I was a young athlete growing up through the system is the work we did on core values and identity. And the two are quite intrinsically linked. I think for me, when I kind of found out what my core values were, I suddenly felt like I was being more true to myself. When you're growing up, I found it was quite easy to follow a lot of the time, and sometimes make compromises on things you weren't really too sure about, purely because you felt that was the right thing to do because of people you were around, or the people you were with, or people you were trying to look up to or impress. And actually, what's been great about kind of doing the core values program was to work out what was really important to me. And actually, I don't have to compromise on those things. And actually, I'm a much happier person when I live by my own values and my own standards. But you don't know what your own values and your own standards are until you've kind of really sat down and thought about that. And so having done this before many years ago, when I was kind of growing up as a young junior, I think we did it with part of our sports psych. And it was incredible. It was quite an enlightening process as well. And it also makes you realize how different you are from other people around you, and that you don't have to compromise on things. Or actually, when you do feel a real sense of self-achievement or self-worth, it's usually because those core values are being met. And so I did this with my mentee, and it was amazing, the response that kind of came back. And certainly for him, loyalty and resilience were two of the key things that came back. And having spent more time in lockdown, as we have all done in 2020, it kind of made him very aware about what his core values were and what he was expecting from other people in relationships. And it made him more self-aware and self-assured about the way he wanted to be perceived and the way he wanted to act, and the things that he would compromise on and things he wouldn't compromise on. And I think it gives you a lot more strength as a person, knowing actually, you know what, these are the important things to me. And not only does it give you more strength, it makes you happier in the long run, because you don't find yourself having to go, well, why am I not happy? It's very easy to kind of self-reflect and go, well, actually, you know what, these core values to me are not being met, and therefore I need to make sure they're met. And you surround yourself with people who are like-minded, and it also strengthens relationships in other ways, because there are people around you that may not share the same core values, but it doesn't mean you don't have a good relationship with them. It just means you understand the relationship better, and it gives you a better sense of identity and helps you grow as a person. So looking at the core values process and the exercise we did, I actually not only kind of took inspiration from the True Athlete Project itself, but also a book that I read a little while ago called The Chimp Paradox, and it talks about your stone of life and how those are kind of your core values. And so with my mentee, we literally sat down and tried to write down as many core values as we could between the two of us, and just actually sitting down and writing down anything. It didn't matter whether it was important to either of us or not, and things we'd seen in other people. And sometimes it's quite strange to think, well, what is a core value? And actually a core value can be anything pretty much, as long as it's something that you're prepared to live by on a regular basis. So we just wrote down anything, and then we wanted to create the stone of life. We wanted to create the kind of 5 main values that actually you find yourself living by to a day-to-day point of view. And actually it was just picking out the ones that really rang true, or had an example in life of when you demonstrated that, or when you felt that, or when someone demonstrated it back to you, that actually it really kind of gave you that warm fuzzy feeling inside. And that in itself is what rings true as a core value. And so for me, one of my core values is fairness. I can't stand unfairness, but unfortunately life is full of unfairness, and so we have to kind of get used to that. But you're able to get used to that when you recognize the core value is fairness. And when things are not fair around you, you're like, I'm feeling frustrated and angry because of I don't feel like I'm being treated fairly. And actually it gives you a sense of, but it's okay, because I know that's really true to me, and I don't have to get frustrated in the situation because I know this is what life will always throw at me. And so I instantly know that's a core value, because I can find myself getting infuriated when that's not being demonstrated. And so instantly that goes on my stone of life. And you'll pick out themes among these values, but just sit down, write down anything that comes into mind, and then try and think of examples of ones that really give you that deep rooted feeling of yeah, that really rings true to me. And then you kind of get your 5, and that's what I like to kind of refer to a bit like the Chimp Paradox as your stone of life. And don't ever negotiate on those. They are true to you and you should live by them. When we had our first kind of finishing session this week, one of the things that Harry said was, it's going to feel like there's a little bit of a part of like my life that's not there anymore. And it was kind of sweet. And what he was saying is, so I like to think from what he was describing was, this is so naturally kind of become part of his day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month routine that it's going to feel like, you know, you're missing something, which I like to think is obviously had some impact with him. And actually how much he's found that it hasn't felt like work. He was like, well, you know, I really want to get a lot out of the True Athlete Project, but it's probably going to require some work, right? And work is challenging, and I'm going to have to put a lot of effort into this. But I think the way he's kind of viewed it is it hasn't felt particularly taxing. He's really enjoyed exploring these things, and it's challenged him in a way that, from a more of a inquisitive point of view, rather than like, oh, I've really kind of got to find an answer here, which I think is also quite a nice thing. So I'm hoping that the next part we're going to do is how he's going to take all this forward. So that's going to be the interesting one.